Welcome to JWL Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the world. Now, you're probably wondering, why should I watch over here instead of at any of the other channels? And that's because over there, they don't care about what you have to say. They talk about this all the time. They talk down to us. They think we're just a bunch of clowns on YouTube, Twitter. But I think it's the opposite. I think we know exactly what we're talking about. So I read every single comment. So if you think what I'm saying is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, let me know in the comments below. If you think what I'm saying is the most amazing thing, then definitely please let me know. Either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and it's turning into something truly, truly special. I want to build something that we genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. So without further ado, let's get to it. We're watching a clip of First Things First, talking about whether or not Mahomes is going to have his best game of the playoffs in this Super Bowl. I think it's an interesting question. Because I think without a doubt, well, also I think depends on what we mean by best game, right? Do we mean that it's going to be the flashiest game? Is it going to be where he's going to be doing these Mahomes things where we're just like, oh my God, that's amazing? Or is the best game for him minimizing mistakes, minimizing risk, just making sure that you're staying ahead and not turning the ball over and not, giving any type of momentum or good field position to the 49ers? I think it depends, because I think in a lot of ways the Chiefs are going to continue what they've done for the last 3 games. Honestly, that's what I really think. I don't think suddenly the Chiefs' offense is just going to become this high-powered, high-flying offense, because if they were capable of doing that, that's what they would be doing, but they're not. And Patrick Mahomes knows it, and Andy Reid knows it. And that's why they're not forcing these tight window throws. That's why they're not pushing the ball down the field. That's why they're not doing some of those things that we grew so accustomed to watching the Chiefs. That's not how they win. And I just don't think that that's what's going to happen. I find that really hard to believe. And I think that's a position that actually the Chiefs don't want to be in. They don't want to have to rely on Patrick Mahomes to be a superhero, because as of right now, that would lead them to not be in the best possible position to win.
I think it's fair.
I expect Mahomes to have his best game of the playoffs, bro.
Well, look, there's a part of me, and this is not my pick, but there's a part of me that thinks Mahomes is going to kind of do whatever's necessary to get the win. All right, that's kind of what he's done in these playoffs. Hasn't put up huge numbers, but he's made the plays when he's had to. But I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. I don't expect him to have a huge game. One, look at this graphic. He, for whatever reason, he hasn't been at his best in the Super Bowls. You see, all the other rounds, including the regular season, he's terrific.
Let's just think about this for a second. We talk about Patrick Mahomes being, the potentially the best, the future GOAT, whatever, whether you think he's the GOAT now or whether he might one day be the GOAT or has potential. We obviously know he's amazing, right? There's no disputing that. And yet, in all his Super Bowls, he has not necessarily played amazing. And yet, again, we attribute all those Super Bowls to him. And not necessarily wrongfully so, but I mean, that's pretty fascinating. And to me, that's just further proof that you can't just say that quarterbacks, that it just wins and losses, that it's just like, well, they have this many rings and therefore that means that's how great you are, right? Or, you beat this player head to head, that means you're the better quarterback. It's obviously more complicated than that, because he's now won 2 Super Bowls and he doesn't even have a passer rating of 80. I mean, that's really bad. And he plays significantly worse too. I mean, is that his players can't take at the moment? Is that Andy Reid suddenly doesn't know how to call plays? Like, what is the actual situation here?
Super Bowl passer rating is very low for him.
Is that because the Bucs Super Bowl tanked it?
Well, that's one of them, but obviously the game against San Francisco, he had 2 interceptions early and came back and won it.
He didn't play great against the Eagles.
130 passer rating, but he had less than 200 yards passed.
180-some yards,
exactly.
But 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. So there's that. But also I think if San Francisco is going to have a lot to do with this, their defense. Regular season, their defense was great against the run. 3rd in the league, 3rd best. In the playoffs, for whatever reason, they have not been able to stop the run. We know they gave up almost 200 rushing yards to Detroit and almost 150 to Green Bay. If I think initially Kansas City's strategy will be to run the ball and see if they're successful with Isaiah Pacheco running the ball. If he's successful and they get a stop or two on the first few possessions for San Francisco and then they get a lead, I think it could be similar to – I don't think they'll be as stagnant offensively as they were against Baltimore, but I think it could be similar in that they're running the ball. Mahomes is making, short passes here and there. And so I think Pacheco could have a big game, and Mahomes only may throw for 230 yards or something.
Sounds like you're picking the Chiefs.
You'll see in a couple of days.
We're all going to end up on the right side of this game. I'm confident of it. So here's the thing. I want to talk about the San Francisco defense and then Mahomes. You guys alluded to it. The Chiefs' defense has been facing kind of escalating difficulty in quarterbacks, and now it's about to plummet. So Tua into Josh Allen, into Lamar, and now Purdy, who is worse than Josh Allen and Lamar, but I believe better than Tua. I think you believe it, and you both believe that. The Niners dealing with a totally different situation. Jordan Love in his first career playoff game to Jared Goff, now up the rocket ship to Patrick Mahomes. And the Niners defense, to Bruce's point, and we can show it to you, this postseason has been bad. And so, especially in comparison to their other playoff runs under Kyle Shanahan, where they were far better from a rush defense standard, a total yardage standard, and of course a points per game standard. And then there is the Patrick Mahomes element. And this is why I expect it. Because the greatest players in sports history, their seasons and their careers very often have storylines. And what better way for the worst season of Patrick Mahomes' career, the worst offense he's ever been a part of, for that season to end with the best Super Bowl he's ever played. Which, to Bruce's point, first Super Bowl against the Niners, struggled for 3 quarters and then was amazing in the fourth. The Bucs game was getting his ass kicked the entire game. And the Eagles game had, completion percentage and touchdowns and pass rating were great, but less than 200 yards total passing. A start-to-finish masterpiece. And this is where, Wilds, I will take it upon myself to once again be the sports media ombudsman and keep everyone honest. Because all year long, what is this week, Wilds?
Well, it's never a doubt week.
It's never a doubt week. But for the rest of the sports media, it was nothing but doubts week. Year, pardon me. Oh, okay. And all year long, you know what a common refrain was? If Patrick Mahomes can win a Super Bowl with this team, it'll be the greatest accomplishment of his career. Right. If Patrick Mahomes can win a Super Bowl with this team, it will cement him amongst the legends of the game. We heard it all year long from people who didn't want to believe any of it and was using it actually, I'll give Patrick a fake compliment to say why the Chiefs can't do it. And that's exactly what's going to happen. And the Chiefs, by the way, I think 8 or 9 consecutive playoff games have scored on their opening possession. And they have those opening possessions, Brew, they have been throwing the football. They've been leaning on the run, different parts. But that opening script, even in the negative 30-degree game, remember, it was 3 straight passes to show them they could do it.
Okay. Finally, let's check in on the 49ers social media.
So, I think you can't just invent this narrative that Patrick Mahomes is going to have a great game because this whole season their offense hasn't been the best and so like that. So it's like, that's not even an opinion. I mean, like what Nick just said there is not even like an actual opinion rooted in anything. He was just like, sports is all about stories, and wouldn't this make a great story? And that's why this is going to happen. It's not exactly analysis or anything. It's not to say that Patrick Mahomes isn't going to have a great, amazing game, or that he's incapable of having an amazing game, but to say that he's going to just because it would make a great story, it's kind of a head scratcher, quite honestly. I don't think the Chiefs' offense is going to be poor, by no means. But if the Chiefs wanted to score more points or needed to score more points, I feel as though they would have. And so in a lot of ways, the Chiefs have been playing based on their offense, at least, has been playing how the game has asked them to play. Meaning, if they needed to put up more points, like against the Bills, they did it. When they needed to just kind of get the lead and sit on it, they did that with both the Dolphins game as well as the Ravens game. And when they needed a big play, they needed a first down, they needed to get some yards, they were able to do that, right? Most notably that 2-minute, the play right before the 2-minute warning at the end of the game. So the Chiefs are more than capable of doing what they need to do. But with that said, you have to imagine that if the Bills were more competent and could actually catch the ball that game, you have to concede that them losing that game was an absolute in the realm of possibility. There was a couple key missed plays. Whether you think Patrick Mahomes would have been able to come back later in the game, it's kind of a moot point at that point, because it's really just like it would have been way more intense and of a heart stopper. Same thing with the Ravens game. If Flowers didn't get the taunting penalty, and if he didn't reach out and get the fumble, again, it just makes things tight. And now the Chiefs have to rely on their offense more and more and more. And we've seen that not work out for them in the regular season. They've been very fortunate in the playoffs. They haven't really needed it, or they were literally gifted, some amazing opportunities, as I just outlined. So if the 49ers, if Brock Purdy can limit his poor play, some of his poor moments in the game, and really rely on, because to me, if you're Brock Purdy, and Shanahan for that matter, your goal is to not show the world how amazing Brock Purdy is. How Brock Purdy's great, he can do it. Your goal is to try to win this game by making Brock Purdy not the hero. Because that is how the Chiefs have won plenty of times. That's how they've won Super Bowls. By not relying on Patrick Mahomes, the Patrick Mahomes, being the superhero. The Patriots have won many Super Bowls by making Tom Brady not the superhero. So don't make Brock Purdy into the superhero. Get the ball into the playmakers. Get the ball to Debo. Get the ball to Kittle. Get the ball to Christian McCaffrey. Let them do their magic. Minimize the turnovers. Don't throw these 50-50 balls down the field when it's maybe, unless you're already down by 28 points or something and you just need something. Don't do it. Don't give the momentum. Don't give the ball back to Patrick Mahomes. And don't put that pressure on Brock Purdy. He hasn't been there yet. He hasn't done it yet. Even Patrick Mahomes has played terrible in quarters in the Super Bowl. He's gotten walloped by Tampa Bay. He played like, even Nick Wright just said, he's played terrible for 3 quarters against the 49ers the first time. And so if Patrick Mahomes is susceptible to do that, you better believe so is Brock Purdy. And in fact, he's proven that in the last 2 games. So minimize that. Don't put all the pressure on this. What is he, 24 years old or something like that? I mean, the guy looks like he can't even grow a beard. He's a boy. He's a child. So don't put that on him. Put the game on the backs of the men who have been there, the men who have consistently proven to be the best in their position, which we know is Kittle, we know is McCaffrey, we know is Debo Samuel. We know those things. So to me, so much of the success of Brock Purdy is all on Shanahan, setting him up to make the right throw majority of the time. To me, that's going to be the difference, is what does Shanahan do? Does he try to put too much on Brock Purdy? Does he scheme in a way that doesn't make Brock Purdy excel? Does he ask Brock Purdy to do too much? Is he going to ask him to drop back and throw the ball 40 some times or something? That would be a recipe to lose. But those are my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on this one. What do you think? Do you think Patrick Mahomes is going to have this biggest game of his, of the playoffs? Do you think he's really going to truly ball out? And what do you think they're going to do with Brock Purdy? How do you think, they're going to, set Brock Purdy up for success? I would love to hear your thoughts on this one. Please let me know in the comments below. Please don't forget to subscribe. As I said, we are building an amazing community, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really helps with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.